Go.
Welcome to Module 2. Laura, Tracy, Allie, and I will be discussing the business models and management theory in healthcare. We'll be leading this discussion for this module, so I hope you enjoy it. A business model answers the following questions. Who is the customer? What does the customer value? And how do we make money in this business? There are two parts, as it says here, to a business model. The first part is about making something. In other words, being a therapist, we have something we've made. And the second part is how do we sell something? So how do we reach the customers to give them the services that we have? So if we're looking at it, those are the two parts. There are 7 elements of a strong business model. Again, as you guys can see this on the screen, they are strongly researched, these 7 elements. One of the ones I do want to talk about specifically as you look through is once you developed your plan, is you need to be able to leave room for innovation. As you see this past year with COVID, we had to be prepared to change. And that was the one thing, how did you change? And so a lot of us went to the online, and the industry changed as well, as we had Zoom and all the different things we were able to use that wasn't HIPAA compliant before. So leave room for innovation, review your plan often, and implement those changes as needed.
Module 2 had some different articles and videos that were about Theory X and Theory Y. Theory X was a popular belief in the 1950s among managers. It basically stated that people needed to be controlled, persuaded, rewarded, and punished in order to be productive employees. Theory X states that employees are lazy, lack ambition, dislike responsibility, prefer to be led. So they're self-centered, resistant to change, and generally just not smart. Douglas McGregor, a management professor at MIT at this time, was an advocate for the human relations approach to managing employees. He researched people's motivation to work and specifically focused on how our beliefs influence our behavior. His new theory started to become popular in the 1960s, and he modeled this theory after Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Theory Y states that employees can achieve their own goals and also accomplish the organization's goals at the same time. Since physical and mental effort of work is natural, external control and threat of punishment aren't needed to make people work. When employees believe in the goals and have rewards associated with those goals, they'll work hard. If the business arranges things in certain ways, employees can have their ego needs satisfied. Theory Y also basically says that the average person learns under proper conditions to not only accept responsibility, but to seek it. Most employees, not just the highest level employees, have a high potential to be creative. The other article in the module was titled Beyond Theory Y, and it discussed the contingency theory, which considers the contingent relationship and fit between task, organization, and people. Assumptions emphasize that the appropriate pattern of organization is contingent on the nature of the work to be done and on the particular needs of the people involved.
So employee satisfaction is one of the things that I think is most valuable in an organization. Again, I have personal experiences I want to share around employee satisfaction, but let me just talk about this. It talks about what's doing good for the company and what's good for your employee is not always mutually exclusive. I will say that having happy employees does allow you, I've been a business owner before, and having those happy employees were most crucial to the success of our business. And those are the people who helped make the money. People in a position of power, as it says here, with the organization, will constantly be working to find a balance between making decisions that profit the company and prioritizing the emotional well-being of the employees. Our readings talked about ways to increase employee satisfaction, but I would say finding the right employees, the right fit, is one of the keys to a successful business and increase in satisfaction, and create an inclusive work environment that promotes a healthy culture and opportunities for business. you do hear the stories of the Googles of the world where their employees get naps and different things like that. That was my goal when I owned the business, was to create an environment that the employees wanted to be in. But there is the balance of making sure you are doing what's right for the company as well, so your business stays around, aka not having to file bankruptcy because you didn't survive. So, but employee satisfaction is huge, and I would, yeah, that was part of the readings for this module.
So classical management theory is considered the great grandparent of organizational studies, because all management theories are either based on it or in a response to it. So three men, Henry Fayol, Frederick Taylor, and Max Weber, each contributed to classical management theory, and they each focused their studies on different levels of management. Taylor is known for his work in what's considered scientific management. He was interested in increasing output and productivity. So he was always wanting to know what the optimal way to do things was. Weber's work was on a bureaucratic level. He's known for being impersonal, anti-nepotistic, respecting lines of authority, and distributing rewards fairly. Fayol brought us the administrative branch, which argues that the focus of management should be on how an organization is structured and how individuals are organized to accomplish their assigned tasks. So we have these three branches. When you put them together, you start to observe how these different levels of management play into one another. And we have systems theory. The article about organizational culture and climate is full of great information. I'm just going to touch on the most salient elements of it. Climate and culture are closely related in that they both focus on the creation and impact of social context, but there is an important distinction. Climate is described as being more immediate than culture, such as the physical look, the experience and treatment of customers, whereas culture is built collectively and is based on shared meaning, core values, and underlying ideologies and assumptions. Leaders influence both climate and culture through role modeling, interactions with members, enacting practices through their own behavior, and enforcement of policies and procedures. Power is a topic that we've studied a lot because of the way it plays into the therapeutic relationship. In a work environment, there are numerous ways in which leaders have power in the workplace and can cultivate an ethical climate. Reward power refers to systems that promote ethical behaviors such as raises and promotions. Coercive power is punishment of non-compliance through reprimands, denials, demotions, those sorts of things. Expert power is a kind of personal power a leader holds as a result of being an expert in a specific field. So they have that knowledge base to come from. And referent power refers to the ability to influence others that admire or like you. So it's the responsibility of leaders to use the power that they hold to build an ethical climate. Although little research has been done to determine the most effective use of power, it's assumed that a combination of sources is most effective in creating and maintaining an ethical work climate.
So for those of us who are planning to move from a clinical position or clinical role into a managerial position, it's important to note that moving in this direction, we may experience social psychological discontinuity in certain areas. In the article, In Becoming a Manager, Making the Transition from Specialist to Generalist, Austin et al. Provide a conceptual framework for renegotiating the professional role and adjusting self-perceptions. As you can see, there are 4 different areas: emerging, becoming, acting, and thriving in the role. Becoming generally talks about moving from this technical or clinical mastery into generalist competencies and moving from individual task-related completion to a focus on team level success. When we're actually acting in the new capacities, there's the switch from managing individuals to and an overall team. It's setting high expectations for performance and opportunities for growth and development, acknowledging managerial authority and empowering team autonomy. So see, these are some of the things that we have to balance as we move in to these other roles. And finally, thriving in the role would be moving away from crisis management and toward managerial leadership. The book Good to Great is awesome. And it's also an easy read with lots of great information. So I recommend it. But it provides another model that considers level 5 leadership, which refers to a 5-level hierarchy of executive capabilities. Level 5, of course, being on the top. In this case, transitioning from being a highly capable individual, and I'm still working on that level, I feel like, in this capacity, but moving from that, being a highly capable individual where we're making productive contributions through talent, knowledge, skills, and good work habits, then to being a contributing team member and a competent manager who knows how to organize people and resources, and then to effective leadership that stimulates higher performance standards through clear and compelling vision. But a fully developed level 5 leader embodies all 5 layers of the pyramid. And a lot of research supports this. So they studied several Fortune 500 companies and found overwhelming and convincing empirical evidence that links good to great companies with this level 5 leadership during pivotal transition years. The thing that really separates and distinguishes the level 5 leadership from those that might be level 4 are that they blend extreme personal humility with intense professional will. They're both modest and fearless. They channel their ego needs away from themselves and into the larger goal of building a great company. Their ambition is first and foremost for the institution and not for themselves. So they don't tolerate mediocrity. They have stoic resolve, but they also aren't in it for the show and the acclaim. In fact, there were references to the fact that these leaders are more like a plow horse who are just eager to get the work done, as opposed to a show horse that wants the glory for it. Another interesting part of that is that this idea of the window and the mirror. Level 5 leaders look out the window to apportion credit to factors outside of themselves when things go well. And if they can't find a specific person or event to give credit to, they give credit to good luck. At the same time, they look into the mirror to apportion blame for what needs to be happening better.
I second Tracy on the book, Good to Great. So the next chapter that was part of Module 2 was talking about how we need to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off of the bus. So this is the first duty before we even decide the direction of the company, which means the who is going to come before the what. The good to great companies understood a simple truth. The right people will do the right things and deliver the best results they're capable of, regardless of the incentive system. If you have the right executives on the bus, they will do everything within their power to build a great company, not because of what they will get for it, but because they simply cannot imagine settling for anything else. Good to great companies place greater weight on character attributes than on specific educational background, practical skills, specialized knowledge, or work experience. So that wraps up our Module 2. And so now we'd love to have a good discussion with you guys in the discussion board.